Hey guys, so this video is a little bit different because this is the first time I will try to explain my setup on YouTube. Many people asked me for this on Instagram and in YouTube comments and stuff and said, hey Alex, can you make like a full walkthrough video through your Eurorack system? And it's actually interesting because the system is always made to be like an instrument where you can just go on and without programming or planning too much, you can just hop on and make music, like Techno music instantly. And also it is built like a groove box. So you have a sequencer, drums, synth, maybe samples and an end of the chain, mastering tools inside everything. So that for my gigs, I can just bring one setup. And now we are going to have a look at it. In my system, I have like two sequences, and this here, the hehe Plus, is the main sequencer, and it's basically controlling my two voices and sending out clock signals. So it's sending out a clock signal to the boom module, to my drum sequencer, to my bitbox, and that's basically it. I could send a clock signal also to my FX modules, but I usually don't do that because I like when the effects are a little bit unclocked and a little bit, you know, a little bit more messy, not in a perfect rhythm. And yeah, I use in this system, I have two full voices, maybe you can say three, but two oscillators that I use for my main voice. And this is first of all the verbose complex oscillator here, and this is just a very good sounding analog complex oscillator. And complex oscillator works like you have a modulator and a carrier oscillator, and the one is always usually modulating the other, either amplitude modulation or frequency modulation, and you can change the waveforms in which way it is doing that. So we have the complex oscillator here, and it's a pretty simple voice because we have like the West Coast synthesis complex oscillator module here, and then it goes to the Moog style subtractive synthesis module, like the Macbeth X series backend filter, which is has a mixer section. So I can send the master waveform that is modulated together with the other two waveforms from the oscillator into the mixer, and then I can mix them together. It has a easy and big filter cutoff knob that's really handy in live situations. And then you have a dual envelope with built-in VCA, so you can you have a VCA for the like normal amplitude and then for the filter as well. And when we maybe start it, you can so yeah, it sounds pretty good analog sounding module, and I really love both of them. And I don't feed it CV because I like to you know, change the sound by myself. Yeah, because in techno usually it's okay when the sound is a little bit static. It doesn't have to have too much you know, melodic elements on some voices, and I usually just keep it that way. So this is the first voice, and then I have a second voice here. It's a mix between the localic guitar per kilo. Also, I think it's also a dual oscillator, like a complex oscillator style a little bit, but it's digital, and you have like many parameters you can control. We can have a listen to it. It goes through the Bifaco Nairoy, which is kind of droning synthesizer effect module. But the cool thing is it has an input and the normal filters. We can just use it as an effect bank and add sounds on top. And this is what I usually do. I just, for example, I play a sequence here, This is on my Hermod Plus. I have a simple sequence that is controlling the localic guitar spaghetto here. And the sound from the localic guitar spaghetto goes through the Oneroy. Yeah, basically just so I can add a little bit of echo, ambience and resonator here. And then you can play around with it and create like these big soundscapes. Maybe add the own sound from the Oneroy. And then you can also with the Oneroy like modulate the filter so it goes open and closed from alone. It has an built-in modulator, so you don't need to patch it, but you can. And then we can try to add like maybe a hi-hat. And yeah, this is the second voice basically, and I like it very much because you can really play around with the localic guitar in a live situation, like, you know. Even with the same sequence, it sounds really different. And then you can add a little bit a pitch envelope. Yeah, and it's instant techno, so I really like this module. With the Bifaco Oneroy, I sometimes also record stuff with the looper. For example, if I just play again. And then if you tap it here, you can record the input, and then you can untap it, and you get like totally like hypnotic. Yep, and that's what you can do with the looper of the Oneroy, so crazy stuff. Then I have a math module in here, which is basically actually at the moment just here to bend the oscillator frequency a little bit to create sounds like this. Let's start the verbose again. And if I turn up the plus here on the math, it's bending it a little bit because the gate output that is controlling the envelope is also coming into the input of the trigger from the math and starts the cycle, and then I have a rise and fall, and it bends the waveform a little bit, so you can hear it. So yeah, it's just to have a little bit more options to control the waveform of the oscillator in a live situation. Yeah, and that's basically my two voices that I use in my setup. I have a little bit of function and operator modules here in the middle, which mostly just helps me with basic function stuff like an LFO. Then we have the crossfader here, which I use to trigger my end of the chain effect modules. And usually I was using the oximeter here, but I honestly do like the effect that I can create with a high pass and an FX8 XL a little bit better, but that's just my taste. But we can go back to this when we are at the end section. The next thing is maybe like the drums and the mixing stuff. So I have like the circadian ribbons from Tip-Top here, which is just controlling my drums. Channel 1 is kick drum, 2 is like a simple clap. Yeah, the kick drum is the Ohmforce Bohm module. Before I was using samples, and before that I was using the battering ram, and before that I was using the Jomax mod bass. You can check out my YouTube and you see all the kick drums I use and try. And after that, for some drum parts I use drum modules, and for some I use samples. For like the snare or the clap is always a sample that is routed through the low pass filter here. And then further into the mixer. The mixer is the Boardbrain Exelon. I nearly forgot the name. Yeah, so the next two drum parts are also samples, because I like to have like these different percussive stuff. Yeah, it's a simple like tom-like sound. Yeah, you can just create a little bit fun rhythm with it, and most of the time I start the gig or the jam with the same patterns, and then when I start the jam, I just swap them out and go like. Yeah, I switch them on the fly, like, because with 8 steps you can't do anything wrong normally. Yeah, and then I have in the next step I have my hi-hat module from Tip-Top, the Hats 909, and it's just most of the time I use the closed hi-hat with a really short decay that sounds like this. I really like that it sounds so snappy, so that's what I use most of the time. And then I have the open hi-hat with a little bit other rhythm most of the time, like this. We can do it together with the kick drum to have a little bit more. Yeah, and I like them because you have on-the-fly control over the length of the decay and stuff, and the pitch, which is pretty useful. And sometimes I also switch to the raw mode, turn down the volume a little bit, and then I also change usually the I use the open hi-hat more than, and I change it a little bit to like a normal a hi-hat on the 3rd and 7th, because I like that the decay time is as long as possible. Yeah, sometimes I use that a little bit more. And then the second drum module I use is the cymbal. Oh no, it's just called the cymbal 909, but it has a cymbal and a crash. So I use the cymbal just like a normal. Yeah, just like a normal cymbal. Yeah, I had to fix my tripod now. I hope you could understand all the other stuff in the video, but it's always like going down. Okay, so next thing, yeah, this is the cymbal, and both the hi-hat and the cymbal module go through a filter. And then with the crash sound, I usually have a really high pitch, so it's like a really short sound, and then I have a little bit of an envelope, a LFO going through an attenuator here and then into it to give it a little bit like movement, and it sounds usually like this. Yeah, and in my mixing section, all the sounds come together. And I have the first one is actually just for my clap. I think it's a little bit of waste of space, but yeah, at the moment it's just for the clap. The second one is for the drums from the sample module, and with the sample module, the Bitbox Micro, I also use loops, like atmosphere loops, sometimes percussion stuff that goes in the background, and we can listen to it here. Yeah, that's basically it. And on the third volume here, I usually have my hi-hat module, then my cymbals, and then I have my Verbus complex oscillator here. And then on the last one, the second voice I explained to you, the locale guitar test through the Oneroy. Yeah, and sometimes I save my sequences. These modules are not like tuned. But I still save the sequences, but then I change the pitch and all the stuff live, just because it gives some crazy random melodies and it's kind of fun. And then sometimes I also go into step mode and just change like the velocity or the pitch, and then it sounds completely different. Like. Yeah, with hypnotic techno, you can't do much wrong with dialing in sequences that are really short on the fly. Most of the time it will fit. Yeah, and then I use send and return on this mixer here. I have like two FX8s on the side, and one is doing like a delay and the other one is doing a reverb. And you can hear it with I think with the hi-hats in the best. Just the delay and the reverb. Yeah, and I use these for most of my sounds, just reverb and delay, and it's all you need most of the time. Yeah, and then I have two outputs here on my mixer, and one is going straight into the Bastel body mixer here, and the other one is going through this 3-band EQ. It's called Baxandal EQ from Constant Lab. So I turn a little bit the bass sounds down, and my two voices and the percussions here go through it. The Bitbox Micro samples go straight into the Bastel body mixer, because I have the possibility to fine-tune every sample by itself, like putting a high-pass filter on it. It's kind of easy, so I don't need to run it externally to clear the low end. And then it goes through the BOM to make like a sidechain effect on it. And with the BOM you can actually in the performer module set the hertz under where you want to activate the sidechain. So like I usually do it under 2000 hertz, so I have plenty of room for the low end and a little bit of this sidechain pumping effect, but not too much. So the higher frequencies like hi-hats don't get affected from the pumping sounds. but a little bit of the normal synth sounds also get affected by the pumping effect, and I think it's an individual thing. I just like it how it sounds. Sometimes I also change it to just the low end. It's getting filtered out with the sidechain effect. It's it's just a thing that I do because I like it. And yeah, then both of these sound mix, so the sidechain sound and the non-sidechain sound mix into the Bustle body mixer here and go through the Boardbrain EQ-X5, which is a 5-band EQ. And I usually just turn down the low mids, like 400 Hertz, because between 300 and 400 Hertz is the space where usually the sound is a little muddy. And I turn down the low a little tiny bit, just a little tiny bit. And I usually turn up the high mid around 4 kilohertz, just a little bit. But this is fine-tuning stuff that you have to hear for yourself in your own setup. And yeah, then the final mix is going through the Cosmotronic Mether, which is basically just a very good sounding compressor. I have a ratio that's around 4.1, 4 to 1. The threshold is around -3 and -5. Attack is around 30 milliseconds, and the release, I think it's also around, usually it should be around 30 milliseconds. And I have the sidechain filter that is activated at under 300 Hertz, so it's basically just being activated by the kick drum, which is usually the loudest part. And then the sound, the master sound, goes to the Cosmotronics Aphelion, which is a saturation distortion module. And I usually have the first character because it has you can blend between 3 characters here, and I usually use the first one. And with this one, it's just a little bit of saturation. I turn the mix, so I mix the end sound just a little bit with it, so it's like a parallel distortion, but it's a parallel saturation, but just a little bit. And yeah, it also has a high-pass filter, which I use together with the next module, which is the FX8XL. And with both of them, this is my end of the chain effect that I copied a little bit from the Electron Octa track, where you have this crossfader and you can activate it, and then something happens, like you have these scenes, and one is going to the Aphelion to activate the high-pass filter, and the other one is going to the FX8XL to activate the shimmering reverb. And then this is how I create my end of the chain sound. We can and it's good for breaks and for build-ups. It activates the high-pass filter. I sometimes also use the one from the Bohm, but let's now focus here. And I activate the high-pass filter and the FX8XL shimmering effect, and then you can like activate maybe a cymbal and like 1 or 2 of these loops and bring everything back together. Okay, yeah. And then it goes just through another small module, which is the Shagmat high-pass module. And with that, you have the possibility to everything below 30 Hertz. It will be like a low cut. Yeah, because everything that is below 30 Hertz is minus 18 dB. And that will clear your low end for a big PA system, for example, very good. And yeah, then it goes through the IntelliJ Louds module, where I can just go straight into the PA or my sound card. And that's basically it. So I just basically like to build these groove box Eurorack systems where you have everything set up in one place. You can just grab it like a bag, put it up and play it like an instrument, improvise it, play techno like, yeah, you don't have to think so much about it. Well, it's a lot of effort that goes into the mixing stage to have a very good sounding system so that it can compete with DJs that usually play like these mastered tracks, which a live act will usually never have the same quality, but you can try to get close to it. And yeah, that's my Eurorack system and how it works. And if you have any questions, just ask me in the comments. And if you don't follow me, I usually don't make videos like this, but I will upload more music soon. So just leave a follow there. And if you want to support me, give the video a like, leave a comment, and we see us the next time. Thank you.